welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and today we're not dressed to go mountaineering, but the car behind us could probably take us there. It's the new Ford Everest.
That's right, it's the next generation Everest that's big on style and very big on capability. Let's take a very good close look at this. Okay, so let's get the first things out of the way. We all know that the Everest is a 7-seater, and we all know that it's been developed to really be a bit of a rugged off-roader while still being great looking for around the town. And this one really, with the next generation, really embraced both of those things actually. The big thing about it is it's been developed to communicate capability, and that's all about its size and its width and its length and all that sort of stuff. And they started off by obviously using the Ranger as a platform, or the new next generation Ranger as a platform, and that's given them an extra, well, it's a 2.9 meter wheelbase, so it's 50 mils longer and also 50 mils wider in the wheelbase, so plenty of track going on there. And it is a substantial vehicle. Look at the size of it. We have got in New Zealand the Trend, the Sport and the Platinum. This is the Trend, so this is the lowest on the ladder, and also this is the smallest powertrain, so it's the 2 litre and the 10-speed gearbox, but I'll get to all of that in a minute. Looking around the front here, got this nice big power band all across here, nice big bar, dominant. Look at the size of this Ford badge, massive, and also plenty of camera technology. What I'm going to try to do is slip in a few of the bits that are going to be more advanced with the Platinum. So whereas you've got this nice blacked out grille here, the Platinum has got these little inserts to give it a real upmarket feel. You've got these C-clamped DRLs, which I'll see if I can show you them on, and also some, when you go up to the Platinum edition, you've got matrix LEDs as well. But again, plenty of view out the front here, and plenty of ruggedness down here as far as your skid plans and things like that. So again, look at it, big beast. Let's look around the side. In terms of size, it's 4.9 meters in length, 2.2 meters in width, and 1.8 and change in height. So again, as I said before, very substantial. But what you'll notice is very short overhangs in both front and rear. So if you are going to go offline or off-road, this is the one for it. Offline is probably more relevant actually. Being the Trend, this is 18-inch wheels. As you move up, you get the, I think it's 20s or 21s in the Platinum as we get to the top, and there's a Sport in between. Plenty of new suspension going on here. Big running boards, your bi-turbo badging here, so you know which one you've got. And the other thing is the roof rails. Where these are semi-integrated here on this model, when you go up to the Platinum, they're actually raised, again giving it that extra bit of substantialness. Now, when I went to the launch over in Australia, we spoke to the designer, and they were really proud about the rear end, which is not something you get often with car designers. It's usually a sort of forgotten area. But what they were saying is they were really impressed about, or they're emphasizing the width here by doing a straight down on the glass here, and again straight down with the lights as well. So giving it more expanse out here, and the wheels going right out to the extent. So really giving it that sense of width. This is helped by some of the light bars here, the roofline spoiler, and as I say, it just sort of drops back down. So again, it gives it that real sense of capability, which is just what they were going for. Also, when you get in here, you do get the access to your 7 seats, which you can drop them down, open them up, and also there is an Apple technology. No, it's not technology at all. It's just an Apple test. So basically what you're supposed to do is this drops down, and therefore if you're on a hill, you wouldn't be having to be catching apples. It just stops there. Anyway, let's look under the bonnet. What we have in our model here is a 2 litre bi-turbo Ford engine that basically gives you 154 kilowatts of power and 500 newton meters of torque. If you go up to the V6, what you get is an extra 30 kilowatts of power and also another 100 newton meters of torque. Either way, they're both strapped to a 10-speed box and will give you a tow rating of, is it 3.5 tons in braked. So actually either one will tow your toys. Obviously the V6 will tow them just that little bit better. Speaking of things that can tow your toys, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
I'm not sure what Dave was going on about towing stuff, but I haven't done so before, but certainly this would be the car to do it in because of Once you do have a trailer hitched to the back, the car actually adapts to expand the blind spot warning range to incorporate that trailer. You also have additional featuring there for the braking of the trailer. So there's plenty more to go through in the infotainment screen as well. But I'll get to that in a minute. On this trend model, so firstly, the couple of upgrades that have come from the previous generation of the Everest. The doors, well, they're now covered in a lot more soft material because Ford actually researched that's the way these drivers like to enjoy their cars, is with their arm up on the top of the door or on the armrest down there. So a little bit more luxurious on the doors. The seats as well, they are sort of a faux leather and leather combination. In this trend model, there's plenty of stitching going on as well, with the driver's side actually having electronic seat adjustment, whereas the passenger doesn't quite have it on this trend model. In terms of the materials on the dashboard as well, you've got a little bit of soft stuff over there, but for the most part it is quite hard and rugged, though Ford has been a little bit generous with their use of chrome on the doors and the dashboard as well. Storage, remember this is a family SUV, in fact a 7-seater family SUV, so you have a glove box up there, glove box down there, cup holders in the middle, space under the armrest, plenty of space in your door bins as well, and then there's a couple of little gaps and things in the middle, and space for your phone, including a wireless charger as well. So you really have thought of pretty much everything in terms of what a family SUV might need. Speaking of the new updates that have come to this new Everest model, well, firstly, the key thing here is this E-shifter. It's sort of been adapted to move like a claw sort of motion, so you really do have to rock it back and forth, and it does take a bit of getting used to, honestly. The other key thing to note here is this rotary dial here, which switches between the different drive modes that I'll show you in a second, and then you can also change between two-wheel drive and then the various different kinds of four-wheel drive options. You also have diff locking and hill descent control and a whole bunch of other stuff, because this is a proper off-road SUV, not one of those city sort of jacked up hatchbacks, if you like. The key thing to note with this infotainment screen is you can see the orientation there is more meant to mimic a phone in that portrait style, and that's because Apple CarPlay and Android Auto look much nicer when the screen is presented in this sort of way. If you don't have a smartphone, essentially, it still does have integrated satellite navigation, and then you can actually select from these menus down here what you want displayed above here. So you can have your media input, or the maps, or the air conditioning as well, which actually has a full-time shortcut down here, and there's dual zone climate control, as you can see there, along with some buttons down the bottom for your basic shortcuts. When you go into the different menus, you can actually customize a lot of it. So this is the media menu, but if I click on the Everest symbol there and go through, so I can view different types of camera layouts. So that's the front view there, which turns on when you press the off-road button, and then you have the 360-degree view down there. Going back to the control screen, you can actually select various different settings to help with your towing. So if there's a trailer on, the car will detect it, and then you can check the lights and the connection and the brakes all via this screen here. Zone lighting, this is another really cool feature. If you're in the outdoors, setting up a tent or something, you can actually turn this on and then turn on various different lights on the outside of the car to really brighten things up. In terms of off-road, because this is the trend model, it does only have this sort of view here with the front camera, and then how the four-wheel drive and the transmission are sort of integrating there. And you can actually select hill descent control from here, and the diff lock as well from this screen. When I go into the settings mode, there's a lot more to play with on this new Everest here, especially in driver assistance. You can see all the different types of safety settings that are enabled there. So it has cross traffic alert, reverse brake assist, blind spot indicators, and a whole bunch of other safety features as well. In terms of vehicle, similarly, there's a lot of customization on offer there in terms of integrating with the key, as well as the different electronic bits that you have available. And similarly with the rest of the screen, honestly, Sync 4 has really been a massive step up from the previous generation, and you can see that displayed clearly through here. The screen behind there is another LCD unit, and you can see it's sort of integrated with some analog style gauges as well. You have your fuel on the right and then your engine temperature on the left. And in the middle there you can see a view of your Everest on the road. That really comes into play when you have adaptive cruise control enabled. It also detects speed changes, speed signs, and also shows you your geographical direction and what sort of off-road mode you're in. So right now we're in four-wheel drive but automatic, and then once you keep changing through, that light will change accordingly. Information displayed, this is really, you can see broken up into 4 different blocks there in terms of the route, your average speed, consumption, and the time driven as well. And you can actually flick through and see more information by using the steering wheel. You can look at the different types of trip computers, your audio input, and then if anybody's in the seat or stuff like that. So there is really a lot of customization on offer in the screen in front of you. The other thing with this screen is it's where your drive modes are displayed. So if I flick that rotary knob that I showed you before, I can move between normal, eco, which is new for this generation of Everest. There is towing, you also have slippery, mud ruts, and lastly sand. So there's a lot of four-wheel drive capability on offer, and as you keep moving through the modes, you can see the car automatically changes the four-wheel drive settings, as well as diff lock and also the traction control. So it really does all the hard work for you. Right, so speaking of hard work, this is a 7-seater SUV, and the key thing here is the last 2 seats. So let me try and see if a sizable human being can fit in there. The key thing back here is the amount of space. As Dave showed you, it's both a wider car now as well as a longer car, and that really translates in here. So I've got plenty of room in the middle row. That's not a problem at all. The key question is, how about that third row of seats? Well, let's jump in and take a look. Now, actually, when I was sitting right back, I still had headroom left. There's still enough space in the back here for 2 adults, and you get a bit of light from the windows as well as some space for your knickknacks. So they really have thought about all 3 rows of seats in terms of the space. Anyway, enough with that. I think it's time to go and drive this Everest.
Alright, now please don't adjust your seats or your TV screens, but we have got another employee on the background there. I've managed to drag my grandfather out of retirement, and we've thrown him in the back just to prove such a big family vehicle that this is. We're making sure that everybody's involved. Anyway, the Everest, next generation Everest, it really is a remarkable improvement on where it was before, and it was already pretty bloody good actually. It's bigger, wider, more substantial, and just feels bigger on the road and more planted. And I know I go on about things when I go on launches, but it also is remarkable off-road as well. So it has got a ton in the tick boxes for those people that want a more substantial 7-seater.
It's built on Ford's T6 platform, which underpins the new next generation Ranger as well, which we reviewed before. And the key thing with the development of that is they actually redefined Ford's truck durability standard and then tested this new platform based on that. So you have, during testing, they actually did, I think, 600,000 kilometers worth of off-road driving and 10,000 kilometers worth of desert driving and a lot of other stuff. Really rigorous tests to put the car through its paces and make sure it can really off-road.
The other thing is it can really on-road as well, because yes, the engine is, I mean, it's always been a talking point about the 2-litre, but it is reasonably substantial. It's not as loud and as boisterous as a V6, but it certainly is going to get you where you want to go. And a 3.5 ton towing with a vehicle this size, this dimension, and also having that, all your toys on the back, it's got to be a good thing.
It's really impressive that they've managed to match the 2-liter bi-turbo with the V6 in terms of towing capability. That's really amazing work. And another big step up that they have done is in terms of cabin insulation. So that diesel noise isn't as prevalent as it was before. And you can actually fill it with biodiesel, not just the regular stuff.
Where'd you get that from? Anyway, the other stuff is the fact of how easy it is to drive. The steering is, the Ford's E-Pass is great, Visibility is awesome all round, and also I love these little handles to help you get in. For somebody my stature to get in and out of a vehicle, you've got the running boards and also the handles, so which is great visibility through the glass and all the way around, even when you've got other passengers in, so really cool that way. And you cannot get past this news or this latest edition of the Sync for Ford. It's just so easy to use, so easy to navigate around, and the voice control is epic.
It does definitely dominate the dashboard experience, but I think, as with anything, with time you sort of get used to it and really get comfortable.
And the air vents, I think, are also supposed to match part of the front grille as well, so there's tons going on with that.
Correct, actually, and the designers that I met on the Ranger launch will shout at me for not mentioning that, as they've done a whole lot in terms of development so that, yes, the vents match the grille at the front. You also have pop-out cup holders underneath the air vent, so it keeps your drink cool or warm depending on what the day has been like, and several other features that really reflect the styling of the outside and also make it look more like Ford's F-Series range.
Absolutely. And how's the room in the back there, Grandad? That's spot on, I hear him saying. That's excellent. So there you have it, the all-new next generation Everest. It's more refined, it's bigger, it's more capable, and also looks a lot more capable. So it looks in it, it can back it up. The trend model is probably a little bit too sparse, but there is, once you start moving up the ladder, as it were, to the likes of Sport or Platinum, you do have the bigger toys. But either way, it does tow all the toys.
I think especially the sweet spot is really the Sport model, and if you go for the orange or the blue color with that contrast black, it looks quite something on the road.
And as you pointed out earlier, the colors are actually free. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. It will be around here, and we'll see you on the next one. See ya.